Hi, everyone. Welcome to UNSW Co-op Program Career Chat. Today, we're going to talk about technology, um, which I was having a bit of issue before. So sorry if we're just logging in now. We'll just give a few more minutes to see, to wait for a few more people to join. All right. My name is Cindy Lemis, and I am the Scholar and Alumni Experience Manager. I am also joined tonight by Michelle, the head of Co-op Program, Christine Ventor, who I'll introduce very soon as the academic coordinator, and for also joined by great panelists that I will introduce later. Before we go any further, I'd like to acknowledge the Bijigo people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land. We're coming to you from the UNSW campus, and also acknowledge all the indigenous people of Australia who have contributed to education and business practice since before any of us were around. I pay my respects to elders, past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Island people who are joining us today. We have some great speakers tonight who'll be sharing their insights about diverse career pathways, opportunities and degrees in technology at UNSW. All right, so you're here today because I believe and I hope that you're already thinking about your career. Most of you joining us tonight are at the end of high school and at a point in your life where it's good to start thinking about what you want to do as a career. We understand it can be somewhat confusing, overwhelming, and perhaps difficult to navigate the different career paths that are out there. Our purpose of tonight and these career chat sessions is to emphasize that there is no right or wrong. Steve Jobs once said, the only way to do great work is to do what you love. So if you attended the other sessions, you were already kind of familiar with this slide and with the idea that we are sharing with you. We cannot highlight enough these tips. So one, do your research. The fact that you're here tonight is a great start. So well done. Figure out what's involved in a particular job, degree, or industry. Talk to people, learn about how they got to where they are and what skills they think are important to succeed. Ask them lots of questions, like what they wish they knew at the beginning of their journey, their career. When it comes to careers, there's no right or wrong. Developing a career path takes time, and you don't need to have all the answers right now. And if you think you do, you may realize later on that the questions change over time. You will find that we as humans, we evolved, and it's okay to change our mind. When it comes to choosing a career destination, there are always multiple ways to get there. When you look around at people's careers, there's rarely a linear line of progression. Think about how to best prepare yourself for the next step you're taking. You may hear about being future proof, and later on, you hear from John, one of our alumni, about the importance to learn to learn. You don't have to have everything figured out right now. Knowing what you want for the rest of your life, it's $1 million question. So don't overthink about, the rest of your life. You just need to figure out where you want to start. This is just the beginning of the journey. Take time to understand your strengths, weaknesses, interests, values, and passions. What makes you happy? What fulfills you? Self-awareness is the foundation for making a career choice that aligns with your personality and preferences. What are your talents, your skills? Identify your natural talents and the skills you've acquired over time. Think about how you can leverage these skills in a career that excites you. Also, consider the skills that you would enjoy developing further. What are your values? What is important to you? Being well paid, nurturing your creativity, being physically active, seeking constant challenges. Think about what matters to you the most. What are your interests? Pursue a career that genuinely interests you and aligns with your passions. A career you're passionate about is more likely to bring satisfaction and motivation, leading to long-term success and happiness. How do you discover what truly captivates you? Pay attention to what you spend your time, energy, and focus. In terms of opportunities, look for the opportunities you have around you. Take advantage of them. Have you encountered someone who sparked your creativity? Have you come across any literature that deeply connected with you? Has a potential part-time position been presented to you? Is there any possibility for you to explore new places and immerse in novel experiences? Once you ask yourself all these questions, you have a lot of information to work with. You'll be able to identify, narrow down a few areas of interest, careers that you might want to pursue. So now that you're more aware of your interests, your passions, your values, what's next? So identify people who are in careers that you'd like to be. And also I'd like to highlight the fact that some of the careers of the future, they don't even exist. So think about that as well when you're especially around technology. Reach out to people you know, ask family and friends to introduce you to someone, look for mentors. If you don't find anyone in your immediate environment, Google them, listen to their talks, interviews, podcasts. Today, we have a wide range of resources that before did not exist, so do take advantage of those. You will definitely get inspired and learn a lot of valuable lessons from these people. Explore a wide range of careers to gain an understanding of what they entail. Research job responsibilities, required qualifications, work environments, and even potential earnings. Use resources like career sites and LinkedIn to gain insights. Get some life experience, get involved. Explore ways to expand your skill set and network. Again, take advantage of multiple opportunities that are presented to you or go chase them. While your academic achievements are important, a sole focus on them won't do you any favors in the long run. A well-rounded approach where in your balance in your commitments and cultivate diverse skills and interests will serve you better in the long run. Remember, choosing a career is a journey, and it's okay to take your time to explore different options. Your career path may not be linear, and it's okay to change direction if you discover new interests or opportunities along the way. Stay open minded, be proactive in your research, and seek guidance from mentors, teachers, parents, and career counselors to make an informed decision. And again, the fact that you're here, it's awesome. I will now pass to Dr. Christine Van Toorn, our Co-op Academic Coordinator for Information Systems. Over to you, Christine.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Welcome everyone to this technology session. I'm the academic coordinator for the BIS, Business Information Systems, and CIS, Commerce Information Systems co-op programs here at UNSW. The BIS program is the founding program or the founding UNSW program. It started in 1988 as a collaboration between industry and academia to try to attract more people to information systems as a discipline. So in my role, I'm extremely lucky that I look after the BIS students, the CIS students, and also I can talk a little bit about the area of computer science and software engineering, which falls underneath the technology spectrum. So as Cindy said, there are so many jobs in that technology space and so many jobs that haven't actually even been invented yet or thought about yet. So when you're thinking about what career you want to do, for many of you, you will start university next year or the year after. And then by the time you graduate 3 or 4 years later, there are many different job options available for you. It's about being open-minded and thinking about the fact that everything is now digital. Everything, the digital landscape is extremely, well, it's massive. And to engage with that, you have to have some basic knowledge about what does digital do for an organization? Why did organizations undergo something like digital transformation? So studying business information systems, can we have the next slide, Cindy? Thank you. So information systems is about looking at data that you have, being able to capture that data effectively, managing and storing that data, which then becomes information in a secure environment. Cybersecurity is an extremely important area that permeates throughout all of the industries, not just if you're working in the technology field. using the data that you have to analyze business decisions and thinking about societal challenges. The things that we're doing now is we're looking at the ethical use of data and the ethical use of AI. We're trying to make sense of data and information and trying to use it in a way that's as constructive as possible, that's ethical, areas of responsible management. So the use of information systems has greatly expanded over the last 10 to 15 years. And most of you need to be digitally savvy. You need those professional skills for a new world that's full of information and innovation, that uses new tools and technologies to make sense of what is happening and what we think is going to be happening in the future. It's almost like using the tools and the technologies. It's almost like having a crystal ball. We can try and predict what we think is going to happen with using predictive models and analytics, and we can use the information systems and the power of the technology to be able to give us different scenarios, different models that we can then try and make sense of the world. When we're looking at information systems, in particular the BIS and the CIS, what are some of the industry areas that we have sponsors across and that use information systems? Well, basically every single organisation uses technology and information systems to be able to manage their data, to be able to communicate with customers, to be able to market their products, to be able to support their internal staff. So we have consulting organisations, we have insurance companies or the finance sector. We have pharmaceutical companies that are using information systems and also the technology to automate a lot of their processes. We have government organisations. A lot of information nowadays is all available online. And again, that is a fantastic opportunity for all of us. But again, it means that having that information available online from a cybersecurity perspective, we really need to think about data privacy, data ethics, data security. Publishing, media area, retail areas, consumer food branding, basically every organisation that you connect with are industry sectors that are using information systems and thus supporting IS Co-op programs and IS Co-op scholars. Our alumni are far and wide across the world and also across a variety of different organisations. So if I'm thinking about technology, am I going to go into information systems, which is a business-based degree, or am I going to do computer science or software engineering? Computer science and software engineering are more technical degrees. So it really depends on what your passion is. Is your passion the use of information systems within an organizational setting and the knowledge about the technology that supports it? Or are you more interested in the actual technology? Are you more interested in the hardware, in the algorithms, in the operating system, as opposed to the software that supports the business? Are you more interested in the technical aspect of the networking, the design of databases, not just the population of data in those databases, but the actual design and the interrogation of those databases? Are you more interested in the technological aspects of graphics and also and artificial intelligence? So AI is everywhere. Generative AI is being used in many, many organizations. Most of us are using it in our everyday lives and also within across the education spectrum. So underpinning AI, we have to think about what sits underneath that. So if you look at also at software engineering, it's more about the development of the software, and Emily will talk a little bit more about her degree in the software engineering space, but it's about making sure that the software produces sub-second responses. It's more that the software is as functional as possible. Whereas if we look at information systems, what we're really trying to look at is, does this piece of software emulate or mimic what the user actually does in their everyday work? So is it a good fit with that organization? So if we look at industry sectors that support computer science and software engineering, tech companies. So Atlassian is one of our, one of UNSW's very big success stories. They were co-op scholars back in 1998, and they actually are very much into computer science and software engineering co-ops. Because for their organization, they're a tech company, and they really use that high-end technological acumen to make sure that whatever products they make are the fastest, the best in the market. Financial services also look to improve their products, and that means having products that provide quick responses to customers and serve customer needs. Insurance companies, logistics. So logistics companies as well. Now we're also looking into SDGs. So we're looking at logistics companies making sure that the whole supply chain is actually sustainable, and that people along the supply chain are actually doing the right thing by everybody else. So manufacturing also very much into automation. Media companies want things that are quick, that are reliable, and that are robust, and then, of course, telecommunications organizations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. My apologies, but I forgot to mention that we have a Q&A box. So if you have any questions, please submit via the Q&A box, and we'll be addressing them towards the end of the session. I hope that was provided a bit more clarity about the technology side of things. We now have some alumni sharing their career journeys with us, and then we'll have our scholars. We have 2 videos. Hopefully they will be playing smoothly. If not, apologies in advance. But we have John Fung, who was a scholar of information systems management in 1999, and today he's the chief commercial officer and managing director, agent experience at the domain. We have Davina Atsusula, who studied computer science in 2013, and now she is the CTO at Eucalyptus. And then we're joined live by Emily Ross, who is a software engineering scholar, and Vidita Sudeshi, who is a computer information system scholar. So I will play the video now. Hopefully it will go without any issues.
Hey there, my name is John Fung. I live in Sydney, Australia. I was lucky enough to be part of the 25 years ago intake for the UNSW Information Systems and Management Co-op Program, and I graduated in 2002 with that degree. I work as the Chief Commercial Officer and Managing Director at Domain Holdings Group, one of Australasia's largest real estate portals, and an app that 7 million Australians use every single month. And I've been there for about 3 years. I didn't necessarily choose this career all out, but in the beginning, back when I was a teenager, a bit younger than you are now, I decided that I really want to be a leader in the church or the non-profit space. That was my passion. I loved serving people. I loved learning about people. I loved helping people. And what I really want to do was actually do that full time, become the CEO of a non-profit or the pastor of a church. And when I talk with people about the best way to do that, they said, John, before you get out there and walk the streets, do 2 things. Get yourself a uni degree and learn how to learn. And secondly, get yourself some work experience so you can learn how to apply that knowledge into the real world. That led me to the Co-op program, because in 4 years you got the best of both worlds. 18 months of really interesting work experience. And then secondly, an amazing technology background. And for me, a business technology background that has served me ever since. The Co-op program was a real springboard, not just in teaching me how to learn and the kind of careers I'd like, but it really helped me get into some amazing places. After the co-op program, I was lucky enough to be accepted as a business analyst for McKinsey in Australia. And after 2 years there, they encourage you to go and travel the world and do another degree. I spent 6 months in Africa working for the US government in Mozambique. And then I spent 2 years at Stanford University in America doing a Masters of Business Association, an MBA, and a Masters of Education. During that time, in 2006, I was fortunate enough to become an intern at a small company called Google in London. It was only a few hundred people in London back then, and I was one of their first interns. I ended up staying there 13 years, starting in marketing, then becoming a technical search quality manager out of Dublin, Ireland. And after 6 years in Ireland, I spent 7 years at headquarters in Silicon Valley, building Google Cloud, being a sales leader and a director in partnerships. I spent a few years at Uber, also based in Silicon Valley, and a few years ago, during the pandemic, we decided to move back to Australia, where I became the Chief Commercial Officer at Domain. My role in Domain is really, really interesting. You see, we have about $400 million in revenue, and I'm responsible for delivering that number by developing products and solutions for people trying to sell and buy real estate. This means my day is basically spent a lot of time with customers. We have 10,000 customer groups across Australia. I have 700 staff that I look after, so meeting with them, communicating with them, encouraging them, and helping them succeed. And a lot of time doing a lot of interesting problem solving and strategy, figuring out how we get an edge in the market, and then developing those products with our product and technology team. That's what I get to do every day, and it's tons and tons of fun across Australia and New Zealand. When I think back on my career, there are a few really important inflection points. Getting to the co-op program was a big deal. It set me on a different path of expecting great things for myself and surrounding myself with other people who can do the same. I was very similar at McKinsey, which encouraged me to do that, but have a global perspective, which eventually helped me get into Stanford. Being an early employee at Google was really, really lucky when I look back at it. You know, I think one of those things you look for when you're young in your career is an accelerator, where for every year you work, you get 3 or 4 years experience. And that's what McKinsey and Stanford and Google was for me. I learned so many things, and the teams grew so quickly because of the stages those companies and those roles were in. And so, for those who are looking to follow into my footsteps, which I call general manager, I guess CEO training, someone wants to lead a group of people and do interesting things in the business and technology space. There's really only 2 things you need to master. Number 1 is people skills. That will always be the most important thing, no matter what happens with artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the like. It'll always be about your ability to attract talent, retain them, and get a good team to become great, or fix a bad team and make it good. That's one thing you're going to learn. And the second thing is problem solving. Whatever I learned at university is less relevant now, but the frameworks I learned were really useful. How to think about systems analysis and design, how to think about databases, how to think about accounting and financial processes. Those were all really important. But the most important thing was learning how to learn, because the problems that you'll address today are different to the problems I addressed 25 years ago. They're exciting, they're changing, and the world is changing at a faster pace than ever. So 2 things. Learn how you're going to get people skills, and learn how to get problem solving skills. And there's many ways to do that. Becoming a lawyer or a doctor is a really interesting way to do that. But actually the co-op program was a wonderful way to marry those things together, where I was surrounded by amazing people doing amazing things, and we learnt the art of technology problem solving and got to apply that in all sorts of different companies. All the best with the amazing choice ahead of you, and make sure you reach out if I can be of assistance.
Thanks, John. I love that video, and I love the learning how to learn. I think it's really essential. And now more than ever, we hear a lot about lifelong learning. So here you go. Then the next video.
Hi, I'm Davina Arisusila. I study computer science at UNSW on the Co-op Scholarship. My most recent role was Chief Technology Officer at Eucalyptus, which is an Australian health tech startup focused on delivering high quality healthcare through multiple online digital clinics or brands, some of which you may have heard of: Pilot, Kinfertility, Juniper Software, and Compound. Going back to how I chose this career, growing up I really loved to build things, and I was very lucky to be brought up in a family that was involved in tech, which made me aware of it as an industry and as a potential career path. I love tinkering with things like Microsoft Paint, MySpace, customizations, and building websites, and then in high school I did a computer science summer camp, and I think that was really the turning point for me, where I met an amazing community of peers that made me feel like these were my people, and these were people that like I wanted to kind of pursue a career with. So I decided to study computer science, and I particularly knew it was important for me to establish a really good technical foundation, learn a broad range of skills and domains, and really understand the fundamentals through this degree. With Co-op specifically, I had 3 placements, 2 at Atlassian and 1 at News Corp as a software engineer. And outside of Co-op, where there were gaps in between placements, I also did internships with Google in Sydney and in the US. This kind of led me to my most recent role. In terms of the previous years, I had been a software engineer, then a senior software engineer, and then transitioned into engineering leadership, which is more like the management type roles that you would see in engineering teams. In terms of the CTO role specifically, it really varies depending on the company needs. But in general, how I would describe it is it's a senior exec role that manages the organization's technology and the team. You're essentially the bridge between the technology and the business. You're responsible for many different things, but broadly speaking, the technology strategy, the resources, the projects, the teams within that, and also innovation in technology. And your role is to make sure they're all working in harmony to achieve the business's goals, and at the end of the day, delivering value to the end users of your company or of your product. In terms of a typical day, there is no typical day. It really depends on the time of the quarter. Some days you'll be in exec meetings, some days you'll be interviewing, some days you'll be doing like a all hands to the whole organization or even the company. Or maybe you'll be sparring and being a little bit more hands-on. But I think because it is so dynamic, it can be challenging, but also I think that's what makes it fun, because each day you wake up making sure you're solving the most important problems, and that can change day to day and adds a lot of variety to your job. Career highlight. There are so many highlights. I feel very fortunate for the opportunities I've had in tech. I would say I'm most proud of working with the amazing team at Eucalyptus and scaling us from an early stage startup. When I first joined, there were around 10 people. We had 1 brand, and we were only operating in 1 country, Australia. But most recently, we're now at hundreds of employees. We've got 5 brands, and we're all operating in multiple countries. And I think the impact that I've seen the company have on its mission around healthcare, it's super fulfilling, because you get to personally impact people's lives, and I think that's really what technology should be doing. I'm also really proud of the engineering team that we built at Eucalyptus. I've worked with some amazingly talented people who are amazing problem solvers, and getting in the trenches with them and solving really gnarly problems has definitely been the highlight of my career. And I think a lot of this was possible because of the many teams I got to work with, and I was exposed to so many different projects, team dynamics, ways of working through these placements and internships, and that experience taught me a lot about how to best work with a team and how to best lead a team. In terms of advice for people going through the program or just starting out their career in tech, it's super exciting. You're going to have a lot of fun. I would say definitely try to go broad, get exposed to many different things, teams, skills. This is really the best time to be learning and getting exposed to different things, not only to broaden your skill set, but also for you to learn what you like and what you don't like, because then you can kind of pivot or course correct your career from there. My second tip would be try to get practical experience where you can. That's why Co-op is such a great program. A lot of engineering in the industry obviously is a technical part, but it's also learning how to prioritize, how to make trade-offs, how to deliver the goals of your team through your specific role. Any hands-on or practical experience in the industry will really fast-track your learning in this department. The third one, which everyone experiences, imposter syndrome. You'll feel it, everyone feels it. I definitely did, I still do sometimes. I would say try to channel that energy into something positive. I think it's a really good sign that you're feeling that, because when you feel uncomfortable, it means you're challenging yourself. And once you've identified that, then you can figure out how to solve that. Do you need more support? Do you need to spend a bit more time understanding a technical concept? Do you need to go and seek a mentor? Once you've found yourself in this discomfort, I would say lean into it and try and figure out how you can learn and grow from that. Once you get further into your career, as I said kind of before, role models and mentors are super helpful. I had them throughout my career, even in the CTO role. You can find them through your peers, through the program, the startup or the tech community. There's so many great people out there. So yeah, definitely go and seek them out. And if you need support, they're always great to chat to and kind of guide you on your career journey. And last but not least, in terms of what I look for in engineers or grads, like culturally, we're always looking for people who are hungry, humble, and curious. People who are great problem solvers and are able to use first principles thinking, and also empathetic towards their team and their users. That's it from me. Hope that was helpful. And yeah, good luck with your career journey.
Amazing. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Davina.
Thanks for bearing with me. Little disclaimer, I am not from a technology background, so hope you all excuse my technology failure there. But hope you got some insights from our awesome alumni. Now we do have our amazing scholars. We're here tonight to share their perspective. They are still like throughout their co-op career journey. So I will pass to Emily Ross, who is the scholar studying software engineering. Emily, over to you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Cindy. So yes, I'm Emily, and I'm a final year software engineering co-op scholar. So I commenced the program in 2021, and I'm currently in my final year. I'm studying a thesis alongside my other uni work, which is really exciting. I would say that being involved in the co-op program is definitely one of the best decisions that I could have made at university. It's really allowed me to kind of get a bit of a professional edge, explore my passions within and outside my degree, build networks of both friends and colleagues, and also build my career in a lot of interesting ways that I wouldn't have been able to outside of the program. I do want to preface this by saying it's really perfectly okay to not know what you want to do when leaving school. I certainly didn't. There were a few things that I was kind of considering, but I had a faint idea that I enjoyed kind of maths and logic and problem solving, which kind of led me to the software engineering or computer science path. And I was also interested in the sheer amount of industries that use software and the opportunities that surround that. Obviously, it's pretty hard to think of an industry that software doesn't impact. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Another thing to note is that I did not know how to code before I entered university. So if you're at all interested in computer science or software, please do not let that hinder you. UNSW has a really great introductory programming course, and I was really up on my feet within about 10 weeks. So if you're at all interested in the kind of software side of things, don't be discouraged by that. The co-op program has also been a really great place for me to explore kind of how my degree fits into the outside world and learn a lot of technologies and ways of thinking in kind of a more corporate sphere that I wouldn't really have learned in university either. So I'll briefly take you through my career journey so far. So my first industry placement was at Macquarie Group, which is one of our larger banks, and it's a completely online bank. They don't have any physical branches. So they kind of really have a strong emphasis on being at the cutting edge of technologies and adopting things kind of as they arise. Being my first internship, I was quite nervous about what to expect. However, I was placed in a really supportive team and I was treated as an equal, which really kind of put me on the front foot there. I was placed in an asset management team, which was kind of a bridge between the financial sector and technology. So I was interested in the time at figuring out how technology was important in the financial industry. So that suited me perfectly. In addition, I had a really great manager or buddy. Managers are really important in kind of developing your skills, as I'm sure you'll find. For me, it was really encouraging to be able to ask questions and kind of have the opportunity to ask to work on lots of different projects, some of which included talking to and working with people outside of the technology industry, so some of the business stakeholders. So this internship really taught me the importance of seeking opportunities in kind of whichever sectors of technology that you're really interested in within a team. My second internship was at the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. So another one of our largest banks. It has quite a lot of influence over people's daily lives. Here I was placed in a slightly different sector, which was data engineering. So this had to do with designing data pipelines to kind of transform internal HR data. So there was a huge responsibility in making data useful for other teams and making these processes very easy to use. Here I was working with a hybrid team as well. So I got experience in working kind of and communicating in a hybrid manner. I was also given the opportunity to volunteer to lead a project in this internship. So I really learned a lot about what makes a good leader and an effective leader, and how to delegate and kind of timeline out work in a very effective way. Here I also had a very excellent professional mentor, again, which is something that the program can help you seek out. So I was able to get a lot of great professional development advice and kind of flourish into a kind of more efficient leader, which was aided definitely by the opportunities of the co-op program. My third internship was at Optus. This was also in a similar kind of sector, so data engineering, but it had kind of a completely different implementation of data engineering, which was really interesting to see. Here, the kind of focus of the team was more on how we can engage customers through their kind of engagement with the business. So this was a really interesting job in learning about how data engineering and software engineering can directly improve the customer experience. Here, I also got to understand a bit about the risk regarding technology. So I got to work with DevOps, who are a code release team. So I learned important lessons about kind of the ways you can write great code with integrity, which was really interesting. I also got to learn how to manage multiple tasks in a bit more of a high pressure environment than the other teams, although I learned how to manage that within a supportive environment, which was really great. So overall, through the program, I got to learn my strengths and my passions within the software engineering space, keeping in mind that I really had no experience of it before I joined university. So kind of increasing the usability of code and learning how important technology really is. In addition to building my professional network, there are other experiences in the co-op program outside of just professionally. For example, the UNSW Co-op Society. I was in the marketing division there for a couple of years. So that allowed me to do more creative work in like Canva and the Adobe Suite, and kind of have interactions with co-ops of all career fields. So that kind of connection is really a great thing to have as well, and it's provided through the program. Again, I don't know where my career will take me from here. Although through the program, I'm definitely more certain about what my skills are and what I'm good at and what I'm interested in. So there's still so much room to grow from here. Although I think the program has really given me such a great starting off point for my career that I wouldn't have otherwise gained. So I would really encourage you to apply for this program. You don't need to know anything or everything before you start an opportunity. But the best advice I can give is if you're passionate about learning new things, you can really succeed by taking up opportunities like this program. That's my advice to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Amazing. As you can see, there's a variety of opportunities while you are in the program. Thanks for sharing all the insights of each that you did. That's awesome. So next we have Vidita Sudeshi, who is our Commerce Information Systems 2021 scholar, who will be sharing her journey so far. Over to you, Vidita.
Hey everyone, my name is Vidita. I'm a final year Commerce Information Systems scholar. So when I was in year 11 and year 12, I remember feeling really split between studying either a business heavy degree or a software technology heavy degree. On one hand, I really did enjoy my business studies and economics courses. I loved working in teams. And on the other hand, I also really loved the software side of it. I did software development. I remember having a go at like coding a running game for my software class. and I remember loving it so much. And so when it came to actually figuring out what degree I wanted to go into, I felt very split. And I did a bit of research and I found the Commerce Information Systems program with the Co-op program. And I found that, oh, in my words, I like to the way I like to describe it is that it's kind of like being the bridge between technology and people. Because on one hand, you still get the chance to experiment a bit with the technology, understand how it works. But on the other hand, you still have that client facing or that people facing side. You get to work with others, you get to collaborate and really like show them how they can use the technology in their organization. And so I actually had the chance to really apply that theory into practice across my 3 placements. So my first placement was back in 2022 at PwC. I was on the Microsoft team or the digital transformation sector. And what we did over those 6 months was we used Microsoft products. So not just Excel. Microsoft has a really wide variety of products like Power Platform, Power BI that you can use to create things like web pages and apps, which I found really fascinating. And one thing that I got to work alongside with my team was actually creating software for educational clients. And that experience has really stuck with me because I remember seeing how excited the client was when they finally got that product and the Power Page and the application itself. And I remember how excited they were. And I think that's something that I've carried with me since then, and something that's really inspired me to continue working in that industry or the consulting industry. My second placement was at PayPal, so quite a different industry, the financial payments. This one definitely pushed me outside my comfort zone coming from a non-finance background. So I was a part of the Global Merchant Services team and the Global Onboarding Management team. So being split across 2 different teams, one of the skills I had to learn was how to manage my time really effectively and also being really upfront with my communication as well. And I think my 6 months at PayPal really sharpened those skills. Some of the work that I did was I actually co-managed 7 merchants going live with PayPal. And so some of the work that's involved in that is making sure that merchants know how to use the PayPal or Braintree platform and that they're comfortable using it. They know how to raise like issues or also train the other employees as well. And so some of the work that I did was I had the opportunity to actually host some of the workshops and run through PayPal with the clients. And on the other side, for the merchant services, I had the chance to work alongside the sales team and the customer success team to really develop a few playbooks or user guides on PayPal. My most recent or final placement was at Deloitte. So that was on the tax technology and consulting team. So during my final placement, I was kind of split across 3 different areas because I was really curious about still pursuing them. So the first area I pursued was data analytics. So some of the work that I did in that area were developing visualizations or dashboards to really highlight to clients their data and help them understand where they can improve, where they can cut down costs, and give them like recommendations on how they can move forward. On the other side, I was also interested in pursuing project management. So here I got to work more on the people side. So the stakeholder skills that I learned were, 1, how do I communicate information efficiently to a partner or a director? So for example, one of the projects that I was on, I had to create a dashboard that highlighted like key information about a project and sort of inform like directors or partners like what was going on, and keeping in mind that like they really only have like a small amount of time to look at it. I had to learn how to be concise and really straightforward with the information that I was displaying. And then finally, I was also exploring the cloud solution design side and the generative AI. So here I kind of got to get really involved with like the technology itself and figure out how it actually works. And I think it was really fascinating seeing how passionate and the unbridled like creativity that some of the solution designers were showing. I think that's something that's also stuck with me. And of course, like over these 3 placements, it's been quite a unique experience being able to explore different areas. And that's the thing I really love about the co-op program, that you're able to really explore what your interests are and also figure out what you might not want to pursue later on itself. So for me, moving forward, I figured that I did really love the work that I did on the Microsoft side, the business analyst side. And I figured that moving forward, I want to keep trying to communicate with our clients, help them help shape their vision and develop an application. And so that's why next year I'll be trying out at EY, who is also a sponsor for the CIS program. Yeah, and I guess my biggest advice for students would be to keep an open mind. Go for every opportunity, because the more you push yourself outside your comfort zone, the more you'll learn and the more you'll grow. And I feel as if that's been said earlier as well. And it's a really, really important message just to keep that in mind. Yeah, but I think other than that, that's much from me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vedita. Great experiences, great variety there as well. So awesome. All right, just a reminder that you're very welcome to submit your questions through the Q&A box, and also just to reassure you, the recording of the 3 days of our sessions will be available later on our YouTube channel. We'll also share the links for everyone who had to register through Eventbrite, and we'll also share with careers advisors. Now, without further ado, I will pass to the head of Co-op, Michelle Morris, who will tell you a little bit more about Co-op, who we are, what we offer. So over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Cindy. Hi, everyone. Fantastic to be here and to see that we've got quite a good number on online tonight. And you've heard some great experiences. I just want to wrap up simply what Co-op can do for you if it is the vehicle that suits you. It is just one vehicle. I think it's a pretty fabulous vehicle. I'm lucky to work in it. But the package that we're able to offer through the Co-op program, as you've heard from different people's experiences, gives you a really good foundation to build for your future career. So the industry experience, we offer between 15 and 18 months of industry experience over the course of your degrees. In all of the technology programs, you're looking at 20 weeks for your first industry placement and then 2 24-week placements for your second two. And our aim is to give you diverse experience, to give you as much kind of exposure to different opportunities as we can, so that you can really get to understand what you like, what you don't like, what fits, what suits, and so that you're making some really informed decisions on that graduate role. Networking and mentoring, the network for Co-op is huge, broad, vast. You have an opportunity to meet and interact with professionals and academics. You've got a lot of support here on campus. You've got a lot of support when you're in industry. There's a lot of Co-op alumni working at a lot of our industry partners as well. But you also have those alumni mentors before you're going into your first industry placement. So it is designed to really support you and make sure that if you've got questions, we can answer them before you go, and you've got someone to check in with as you go through those experiences, and are challenged in new and different ways. And honestly, that's what we hope for you, that you're challenged and feel a little bit uncomfortable, as Vedita said, because that's where the growth happens. The leadership and professional development from your first year and all the way through, we have professional development workshops. There's a leadership camp. Again, our aim is to build on those skills and talents that you already have, that you're already exhibiting in high school, and that we're identifying through your application, so that by the time you start in your grad roles, you've got a really great foundation for not just that grad role, but for actually moving through the leadership roles. And you can see with Davina, she started in the program in 2013. That means she graduated in 2017, and she's already a CTO, which is unbelievable. It's absolutely astounding. She is a superstar, I'm not going to lie. But that is a pretty astronomical kind of rise to, meteoric rise to wonder stardom. The scholarship is amazing. It's $21,600 per annum. It's a 4-year scholarship, and you receive that $21,600 over the course of the year, whether you're studying or you're on industry placement. You're not paid directly by the companies. The scholarship is paid by the university, and you're receiving that as a fortnightly stipend as you go through. Thanks, Cindy. The friends and fun, I mean, Emily touched on it a little bit before. We have a Co-op Scholar Society that's run by co-ops for co-ops. It's a really great way for you to kind of get to know people who you wouldn't often interact with at university. You definitely see the people who are in your classes and in your school, in your faculty, but interacting across faculties is a little harder to do when you're a university student. But thankfully for our Co-op Scholars, from their very first very first day within the program at kickoff, they're meeting students from across a broad range of disciplines and faculties and degrees. We like to have fun. We like to have an opportunity to actually get to know each other and enjoy each other's company. So if this sounds like something that might be of interest to you, the scholarship applications are open right now. They close the 30th of September. If you haven't been to our website, check it out. I'm very conscious we've got a lot of questions though, so we're going to try and hit up some of those questions. We will try and get through those as many of those as we can, and we might go past the 7 o'clock mark, seeing as it's 5:02 right now. So I'm just going to start with for the co-op program. If my ATAR is met, is it fine if I don't have a lot of internship experience, is the question. I might just take that one, and then Christine, I might just hand over to you. If you are starting in co-op, we certainly don't expect that you already have internships under your belt. What we're looking for in your co-op application, and the ATAR is the very last thing that we're looking at, but what we're looking for in your co-op application is that you are interested and interesting, that you're interested in the area that you're applying for, and you can kind of articulate that even if you haven't had experience, hands-on, direct, one-on-one experience with it. Like Emily said, she hadn't coded before she came to UNSW. That's okay. We'll teach you everything you need to know in the degree here at the university. But what we want to know is, why are you interested in it? What is it that makes you think that you want to do industry placement with your degree? How do you know that's an area for you? And then what have you done in your life that kind of reflects those kind of determination, commitment, communication, teamwork, leadership attributes that we're really looking for? Christine, anything you want to add there?
No, like Emily was saying, in terms of the experience that you need to have to get in. So, as Emily said, you don't have to have experience with programming. You don't have to have experience across different areas. What you have to have is that passion to want to learn, determination, dedication. So, but I would like to answer the question that's on. So someone's asking about the software engineering job market used to have plenty of jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a high demand jobs, but since around 2013s, many companies have started to massively outsource. To be perfectly honest, a lot of organizations have started to bring back what they outsourced, and then now insourcing, or they're doing it themselves. Why? Because they're finding that even though the development of some of these products is cheaper if I outsource, I'm not actually getting exactly what I want. And if the software doesn't really fit the purpose that it was meant to, for, then I can't really use it effectively. And as an organization, I lose all of that value creation from digital transformation. So I haven't seen a decline in the number of jobs that are out there. I've seen a shortage of good software engineering students, people with the skills and the personal touch, what we call soft skills. So, the question also says, with the emergence of AI, it might make this worse. how do we see job opportunities for software engineers in the next 5 to 10 years? I think those job opportunities are going to keep on coming. Those jobs are changing. There are new jobs that are coming on. Vidita talked about data analytics and visualizations and building the dashboards so that people can actually visualize the data and help make business decisions based on those visualizations. That's a job that wasn't available maybe 5 years ago. Or 10 years ago, people were looking at Excel spreadsheets, were looking at numbers. Now we've got those available at our fingertips, and more people have the ability to do that, to use that visualization. AI is looking at lots and lots of data that we've got and coming up with responsible and ethical ways of managing what we're doing within our workforce. So I don't believe that it's going to change. And the only way it's going to change for the better.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd probably add, in terms of working in technology, can you get a job in technology without a degree? Yes, you can. But if you wanted to, the senior levels are usually people who have been through university or have extensive experience. So when you talk about jobs being outsourced or sent overseas, it's usually the more base level fundamental components, that strategic thinking, that development, the direction of the organizations. Any organization is going to want to keep that relatively close, right? So, you know, so it kind of depends where you want to end up, but I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And I think everything kind of highlights, everything that you read kind of highlights, yes, AI will make an impact. It's already making an impact. It will continue to make an impact, but the roles that will emerge are how we ethically and creatively harness that power, and how we can, you know, not me, I am not a developer at all, but how technologists are able to make lives easier and make work potentially more interesting by getting rid of those annoying little things that we have to get through to get to the interesting stuff that AI can now take care of as well. Yeah.
But also think about what John Fong said. You know, what I learned 25 years ago is very different, but the theory behind it is what I'm still applying today.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm also just going to keep Christine and Vidita there right now. There's a question, what is the difference between BIS and CIS? A question we get often.
Yes. Vidita, do you want to talk about what CIS means for you? And then I'll talk about BIS.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my opinion, the way I see CIS or Commerce Information Systems is it is a bit more flexible with the technological side you want to focus on. So I know with business information systems, there are a lot more topics that you get to cover. But with CIS, you have a bit more flexibility. You can choose which parts. So I remember when I was in my first year and second year, I chose a few of the coding parts, and also a few cloud digital design or cloud infrastructure design as well. And I would say the biggest difference for me between CIS and BIS is that CIS is kind of a bit more focused on the people side. So you understand the technology, but you're still able to, there's a bit more focus on, I guess, communicating or describing how that technology can be implemented in a business, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So my standard response to that is, from a business information systems perspective, we're focusing on the technical capabilities of information systems, what it can do for the organization, how it can allow the organization to transform itself, and how can it allow the organization to do things better, faster, more efficiently. With the commerce information systems part of it, we're looking a little bit more about the business requirements of that organization and making sure that that software is a lot more closely aligned with that business requirement, whether it's from an accounting perspective or a marketing perspective or a finance perspective. It's a business-based degree where we incorporate technological or technology within it. And the BIS is more of a technology-focused degree that incorporates business requirements and business acumen.
Thank you. I always like to get the experts to answer that one because it's a tricky delineation. There was another question that had a very similar, the difference between BIS and CIS, but also data science and decisions. Is data science and decisions included in the business scholarships, science scholarships, or both? We for the purposes of this event, or this series of events, we put data science and decisions into the business category. But what's interesting for you to know is that it is owned by the science faculty, but it sits across business, engineering, and science. So it's a fun little area that you can specialize either in business data science, computer science, specialization, or a mathematical specialization. So depending which way your interests lean for data science, you can lean into one of those different specializations. There is a question here about how can I make my application for software engineering stand out, which I've scrolled right past, but I'm going to throw that one to Emily. How did you make your application stand out?
Good question. I think I just put a lot of focus on kind of my willingness to learn and my kind of current aptitude for, I guess, like the mathematical side of things. In addition, though, it's not all just about your kind of, mathematical skills necessarily. It's about what you've done in your extracurriculars as well, how you've kind of solved challenges and problems there. And yeah, I guess just demonstrating a willingness to learn, really. It's not necessarily about what you've done, although if you have done side projects that have really taught you something or that have been challenging, those can be good to mention too. But yeah, really just kind of mentioning your passion or your aptitude for learning and kind of, yeah, maybe software, but not necessarily in particular, if that makes sense.
That's perfect, because I realized the question was actually how do you make yourself stand out in the technology industry? So that's perfect. Vidita, can I ask for your application to EY? What do you think helped you stand out in the technology graduate space?
I think for me, also the same sort of thinking as well, like as ensuring that you're someone that like pushes yourself outside your comfort zone. You're someone that goes for new opportunities. You're unafraid to tackle like hard challenges. You're unafraid to like keep learning. And it can be any experience that like demonstrates that. It doesn't have to be based off uni. It could be based off work. It could be based off maybe extracurriculars, like maybe like volunteering. It can be any experience where you show that you're someone that's like able to not really back down from a challenge. You're just there to learn and grow.
Thank you. There's a couple of questions around, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw this one back to you, Christine, again. Business and commerce information systems, does it cover concepts of cybersecurity? Would you recommend doing computer science for cyber? And then are these single or double degrees? Yeah.
Okay. So the BIS degree is a single degree, a Bachelor of Information Systems. The Commerce Information Systems degree, you can do a major and a minor, or two majors. So you might, the major has to be information systems, but you might combine that with marketing or finance. Vidita, what's yours? What's your other?
I don't think I have another one. No, it's just
You've got a
information
minor?
systems. Pardon?
You would have a minor in one of the areas.
I don't think I have a minor or a major. Because I did a lot of extra IMS courses.
Okay, yeah. So it certainly does cover cybersecurity. For me, I would actually think that the BIS course would cover cybersecurity to a greater extent than, say, the typical CIS course. But then, as Vidita said, she did quite a lot of technical courses because that's what she elected to do out of the, as part of the commerce degree. So cybersecurity is, we have 3 or 4 courses within that BIS degree or within the School of Information Systems and Technology Management. And we've actually just bringing up a specialization in the cybersecurity space, because cybersecurity is extremely important area. It's what keeps the CIO, the Chief Information Officer, the Chief Digital Officer, the Chief Technology Officer awake at night.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, as a personal thing, I think cybersecurity is a lot more than just knowing how to stop attacks or how to help prevent attacks. It's about education across the organization. It's about making sure that all your users understand what cybersecurity threats are, how they can infiltrate an organization. And for me, I think that the BIS Co-op program does it extremely well. But then I'm a little biased.
She's a little bit biased, so I will just highlight that you can do a securities major or a securities specialization within a software or computer science program. There's a lot of options for subjects within, and it's also one of those within those degrees, and it's also one of those areas that obviously, things continue to change. So I think it's something that is, regardless of which you decide to go. If cyber is an area that you're interested in, I'm not sure, Emily, if you have done a securities specialization, but I know it's quite a popular one within the cohort.
Yeah, I'm doing a course next term on that, but it is quite a popular thing to do for sure.
Perfect. Thank you. There's a couple of quick questions here I'll just cover off from a co-op perspective. Is the scholarship taxable? It is a tax-free scholarship. However, we are not tax accountants. We have a ruling from the ATO, but we're not tax accountants. So please always check that with your own tax accountant if you have one. There's a question, can you select your own placements? The scholarship is sponsored by a pool of sponsors, and we have a pool of students, and we match, as I highlighted before. Our aim is to give you diverse experience across the sector that you're studying in. So you have an opportunity to put in preferences, and your academic coordinator is the person who's kind of talking to all of the scholars and trying to understand their preferences and personal interests and that sort of thing. But the sponsorships are the sponsorships within the cohort, within your year level. So you would be going on placements with an industry partner in that pool. And as we highlighted before, those 3 placements being diverse, some things you might think you're super interested in, and some things you might think you're not, or organizations you might think you're not. It's always really, really fun for me when a student's like, oh, I'm not really interested in that company. I'm not really excited to go there. And then they come back and they go, wow, I had no idea. And as much as you might think you know a company or think you know what they do, when you go and you're actually working in an organization, there will be things that you could never have imagined, and that may shape you to understand what you don't like, and it may shape you to expand your interests or to pursue something in an area you'd never considered. So I suppose in short, no, you can't select your own placements, but you can indicate preferences, and we're here to listen to those as well.
I guess just a segue on that, Michelle, someone asked if industry placements are within Sydney and if they would know what companies they'll be working before, I guess, signing up for co-op.
Yep. So at the interview briefing day, which is the day before interviews, interview briefing is on the 19th of November this year. Interviews are on the 20th of November. On that day, we'll tell you what companies that have already signed on and what companies we're still expecting to get agreements from. So that'll give you a fairly good idea of who the sponsor companies are within your cohort. We do sometimes have scholarships that come in through January and through February, and they may come in later. So there may be some organisations that we weren't aware of who come out of the woodwork. Not all placements are in Sydney. We've got some industry partners in Brisbane. We've got Tesla as an industry partner in one of our streams. So those industry partners, they have a office here in Sydney, so some placements are here and some are in America. So it just depends on the industry partner. You do need to be prepared to go on placement with any one of those industry partners that is in your pool, and that is part of the co-op obligation as well. Thanks, Cindy. We've answered that guy. What type of questions are asked in a technology co-op interview? So we've got 2 scholars who've experienced it, albeit some years ago, ladies, I'm very aware. Do you remember your interview, and do you remember the kind of interview that it was? Might start with Emily. Emily, do you remember your interview?
Yeah. Slightly. It was definitely very much kind of behavioral questions. So there wasn't any obviously, technical questions or anything like that. It was a few things about what I mentioned in my application. For example, a project that I'd worked on. I think in the interview, they were just trying to, get to know me and my interests, and kind of the challenges I'd faced so far in my endeavors and how I'd overcome them is what I remember.
Yep, great. Thank you. Vidita, anything to add?
Yeah, no, definitely didn't have any technical questions, but yeah, no, behavioral questions, getting to know you. I guess a good way to think about it is kind of like just like a normal conversation. You're trying to like see if you're a good fit and if they're also like a good fit for what you want as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, exactly that. We know that all of our applicants are high school applicants, right? So we're certainly not going to put a complex technological problem in front of you and go and perform. That's definitely not our plan. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know more behind because our application is relatively short. The answers that you can write, you have to be concise. We don't give you more space than what is available through our platform. So you'll be building on some of those responses. There might be something that sparked the interest of one of the panelists and they say, hey, you talked a little bit about this, but I'm curious to know, what does that mean? And tell me more about that. What did you learn from that? And why was that of interest to you? Why did you include that in this short application over something else that you've done? So they might take something from your application, or they might ask something that's, very different from the questions that are in the application, like, have you thought about where technology is used in a company like ours, or something like that? It's really a chance to get to know you as an individual, what you're thinking, how you kind of process information, how you respond in those kind of circumstances. But keep in mind, everyone we're interviewing is in high school. These aren't graduate interviews. We're not looking for academic responses. We're looking to get to know you and to make sure that you understand what co-op is, and the kind of things that you might be doing in the stream that you're applying for.
Just want to put one question there.
Thank
Michelle,
you.
also very mindful of time, everyone. Thanks for everyone who is still there. Someone asked if more around application, will I be disadvantaged if I apply more than one area of the co-op program?
Absolutely not. I think we allow up to 3 areas of application because A, we don't expect you to know exactly what you want to do with your life. That's okay. But B, sometimes there's overlap. Sometimes there's a way to shape a career that brings in more than one area, and different paths can take you different ways. So if you are applying for more than one co-op program, then we'd probably want to see elements of that coming through in your application. The interview is designed so that we can interrogate that particular area a little bit more. So if you're applying for 3 programs, you could have 3 interviews, you could be made 3 scholarship offers. And that absolutely happens. So don't let that put you off. Again, you should be only applying for areas that are of interest to you though. So, sorry, Christine, did you have something you wanted to add there as well?
I'm actually just responding. Someone said, do I have to choose between CIS or BIS before the interview? Or would I be applying for information systems and then be able to choose across both? I'm actually typing the response here. If you elect BIS or CIS as one of your first top 3 preferences, and if you are successful in obtaining an interview, you will then probably be allocated to a combined panel, BIS, CIS panel, and the panel members will help you understand the difference between the 2 programs and determine the best fit for you as an individual.
Thank you. There's another question here about what areas do you need to cover for the video snapshot. So the video snapshot is something we've introduced relatively recently because we do understand our application is short, concise, and we don't get to see as much of you as we might like to. So the video snapshot is supplementary information. Anything you want to build on from your application, anything that our application hasn't given you a chance to showcase is what should be going into your video snapshot. So that is additional information for us and the panelists, and you'll only be required to do that when you're invited for the interview. So with your interview offer, you also get the video snapshot request that goes out. One more question, Cindy? Have we got time?
Yeah, one last one. There's another one here about UX. Shall we address application? So
please.
Would you need to select anything different on UX for co-op, or do you just choose the base degree, then apply for co-op separately?
Okay, so your UAC application and your co-op application are happening in tandem. So within the business school, the co-op programs are co-op degrees and they have specific UAC codes. Within engineering and science, they are the same UAC code as the non-co-op degree. So depending on which streams you're applying for, there may be UAC codes associated that are different to the base degree. You only get, is it 5? I think it's 5 preferences within UAC. And we know that this is a time of indecision. So if you only have the base degree in there, it's not a massive drama at the time of application. When it becomes important to make sure that you have the correct UAC code in there is when we offer you the scholarship and you accept the scholarship. Because if you don't have the correct code in your UAC preferences, then you can't be made the offer to the correct degree at UNSW. What I would highlight though is that if you are applying for the co-op program and your UAC preferences are entirely full of completely different things, that raises a question mark for me when I'm assessing an application. So if you're applying for the information systems co-op, the computer science co-op and software engineering programs, fantastic, but your UAC preferences are completely full of law, medicine or optometry, I would be asking why. Why would I interview somebody who's quite clearly interested in another area? We only have a certain number of scholarships and we want to make sure that the person coming into the program, it's a good fit for them, they're a good fit for the program. So that's just something to keep in mind, I suppose.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I believe this is the end for us. Again, we've gone over time because amazing questions. So thanks everyone who actually submit and engage with us tonight. I want to thank you so much, the panelists. So Vijita, Emily, we appreciate you sharing your experiences. We could be talking about co-op, but nothing makes better than hear from scholars who are actually living and breathing the program. So thank you so much for being with us this evening. Thanks, Christine, for your marvelous insights on the technology side. Thanks, Michelle, for your help. Everyone who's attending tonight, thank you. Once again, we will be sharing the recording with you. We appreciate if you could follow us on UNSW Co-op Instagram and our social medias. We tend to share more of the co-op scholars' insights and journeys there. Just a reminder that applications are open. They'll close on the 30th of September. I'll be sharing now on the chat there a link for our website as well. So we do, if we were not able to address your question, or if you continue having questions, we have a marvelous FAQ session there, very comprehensive. But if you do have any further questions, more than welcome to get in touch with us. We will be more than happy to continue assisting you, especially all throughout this time until applications close. We understand it can be tricky, a lot of questions that you may have, so feel free to get in touch. Once again, thanks everyone. We will be sharing the recording in the next week or so, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Michelle.
Good night.
And Emily. Good night, everyone.